Quilt Escape fans, finally I'm back. I'm ready to show you the next 4 blocks in our sampler series. The one we're going to do today is right here, Country Crossroads. And from here I do want to review for just a few minutes to remind you about the first 4 blocks. I'm going to walk over to my working wall. This is where I hang up all my pieces and parts before I sew the final quilt. The first block we did was square exchange. Then we did path through the woods. Then we did block 3, which is windy days or spinning windmills. It has 2 names. And then we did block 4, odd scraps. So we're going to come up here to the top row. I've put the latest blocks on top. This is Country Roads, and you can see what a cute little block this is with a lot of 4 patches. Then the next lesson you're going to have is Ohio Crossroads, and this also has some 4 patches, but look at the fun little Ohio star in the center. Then we'll do block 7, which is Hunter's Star. You're going to get a new unit here. This is a 3-part square, so that's going to be a lot of fun and a little different. Then we're going to get to block 8, which is Deer Creek Star, and we're going to be doing these diamond in a squares, or sometimes called square in a square. All right, let's get started and go back over here and do our country roads for today. And the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to make our half squares, which you can see them right up here. And I'm going to go ahead and lay this down so that I can mark them. Pardon me while I pick one up off of the floor that fell on the floor. Okay, so what we want to do is use our tool, and we're going to use our 3-inch line, which is going to be right in between 2.5 and 3.5. I'm going to use my friction pin. And after lining up the straight edge here on the outside of the fabric and the dotted line on the bottom of it, I'm just going to mark my line, and then I'm going to do the same here. And remember, I have this rotating mat, and I love this thing, so I'm going to use that. It just makes marking more fun. And see, when I rotate it around, I don't have to turn the tool around. And I prefer using the tool so that it's got the line on this side for me. It's just easier for me to mark. And you can see 2 very, very clear lines. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and sew these for you. And we'll talk a little bit about the sewing. So that won't take very long at all. Gotta get my chair rolled away. Okay. Now, as we've done in the past, the first thing I'm going to do is put a leader on, and I'm going to drop the presser foot, and I'm going to sink the needle. So I'm going to pick up the first one, and notice how I've kind of twisted this little leader around, and I'm going to start sewing on the inside line. I just want to hold this up for you to see that I'm going to start sewing here on the inside line. And that just prevents this unit from getting drugged down into the machine. It's the best way of sewing on a line. Now I'm going to get down to the end. I'm going to leave that needle down, and I'm going to slide the next piece right underneath it. It's going to follow along. And I'm going to go ahead and sew off the end and then turn it around. And it's interesting, all you need is 2 pieces, and you will have your 4 half squares for this part. Okay. I'm using all my fun bells and whistles. Love my scissors and all that good stuff. Now I'm clipping the threads in between, and I'm going to clip these threads Now, I can rotary cut this, and I'm going to just show you kind of a neat trick with that. So if you don't mind putting up with me, I'm going to just pop up here, and I'll show you that I'm going to use my 1/4 inch line and on the ruler, and basically I'm going to extend that out past the line that I sewed, and sew 1/4 inch. Then I'm going to rotate it around, or rather cut a 1/4 inch, and then I'll go to the other side and cut my other 1/4 inch, and then you're going to see this is what you have left. This was that 1/8 of an inch that you marked, and without having to do any 7/8, so that was the real purpose. The other thing I want you to look at is you have one tip squared off and only one that you need to cut. And I am very fond of just doing this. I'll just take this rotary cutter, and all the pointed ones, I'm just going to whack them off like that, and I'm done. Then they'll get pressed, and I will press it to the dark side. Okay? So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to press these. And when you press to the dark side, I've got my little workboard over here. When you press to the dark side, the smart thing to do is to put, let me try to move that so you can see me better here, is to put the dark face up. That way, the first process, the step that you're going to do is to just set the seam. So you're going to push that iron down on it and then lift up the corner. And that's all you have to do. It's pretty quick and pretty easy. And you've got your 4 3-inch half squares. So in our pattern, we needed those 4 3-inch half squares. And so, well, actually we need a total of 8 of them. But as you can see, I just did 2 so that you would know 2 sets that gave me 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can see that they're a perfect 3-inch. If you want to put them on the mat and measure them, you'll see that they come out exactly the size you need. So I just have some extra half squares over here. The next unit that we're going to talk about making is the 4-patch unit. And I have recommended that you actually cut strips. This is the most efficient way. And then what I like you to do is take the 2 strips and press them together before you sew. I just think this is a smart way of doing it. It kind of helps the fabric to stick to each other, and then they feed through real quick. So I'm going to do that, and now I'm going to proceed over here and sew this strip. All right, have to remember I've got a chair that's moving all the time. So now we're going to put down our leader, and then we'll sink our needle, and we're ready to go. I'm lining up on a 1/4 inch line, and we're going to just sew this right through, and it'll go very quickly. I need to pull it out here. Now, okay, so we've got this sewn, and what we're going to do basically is I'm going to cut this in half, and I'm going to show you how to stack it and rotary cut it. Then I'm going to feed those pieces in. So I'm basically just folding this in half, cutting it in half. And now I'm going right here to the iron, and again I've got the dark side up. Let me put this down so you can see over here. I've got the dark side up on the board, and I'm going to press this down like this, then lift it up, just like this. Very simple. Same process for the other side. Okay, now I can stack that back. Then I can show you on the rotary map what I'm going to do next. So you're going to take these, you don't want to put the two reds right sides together, you want to turn it around and put the red on the opposite sides of each other. And if you remember, when you cut these, they were 1 3/4. So what you're going to do is start by getting a straight edge, and then you're going to cut every 1 3/4 inch for your units. So here we go. Now the easiest thing is to go right to 2 and then back up 1/4. I don't know why, but that's the best way for my brain to think. And so I'll just do that, and I'll march down and I'll get 2. I have to turn this little guy around so he's at 2. And then I'll go back 1/4 and I've got it. So I'm not going to cut it all right now in the interest of time, but I have some ready to go to feed under the machine. And we're going to do that now. And this is how we make our 4 patches. All right. So we're going to just put these in a group. And I like, again, to start with that leader. Sink that needle, and here we go. One of the big reasons I like that leader is that I have found my beginning stitches on my patchwork are not always secure. And by using the leader, I have really secured those patches at the beginning and at the end. So that's the real purpose of it. Also, just keep feeding them right in here, one after the other, and you're going to have little 4 patches. Very simple to do. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut these apart. I thought I had this little guy. I do want to show you. I do use this quite a bit because it clips the threads in between so effectively. So here are your 4 patches. And when you do these, you can really either press the seam open or to either side, because you're going to have one side light and one side dark. It really doesn't make much of a difference. Okay, so there you have it. And you'll flatten those over here at the iron, and you're going to actually make 8 sets. Now the next thing that you need to make are these little 1 3/4 2 patches, and they're going to go very simply. They're 1 3/4 wide by 3 inches long. In the pattern, it's showing the navy and the tan. So we're just going to put these right sides together and feed them through. Let me get my little leader. Sink that needle, and here we go. Follow it right on up. Time for a quick drink of tea. Okay, here we go. Then we have these patches here. And again, there's a dark and a light, so I'm going to choose to press to the dark. And you can see very easily that that's what this part is right here that fits in this. So that's basically all the units in your block. So now I just want to focus and tell you how to assemble it. I'm going so fast that I'm coughing. Sorry about that. So what I want you to do is assemble the half squares and the 4 patches as a 4-patch unit. And so you would have 4 sets of those right here and right here. Then this across the center with a square in the center and 2 squares on the end would be 1 row. This would be a section right here with the red square and these units. And you'd have 2 of those. Then you're going to assemble it like a 9 patch by sewing the 4 patch units on either side of this connecting unit. And then you will sew this unit down the center, this row to this row. And here again you've got your 4 patch unit against this section, and then you would sew the 4 patch unit over here. And so you're basically going to be connecting them right through here as your final seams. Now if you walk with me back over here, I think it looks a lot better to see the finished block. And you can really see it very well. So there is your little 4 patch unit right here. Then you've got this little strip unit and your 4 patch and your half squares. Then down the center, another strip unit, and again the 4 patch units and a strip unit. So this is a great block when it goes back together, and it just looks so cute. I think you're really going to love it. And when I get back with you again, we'll be doing Ohio Crossroads. Thanks!